Namaskar, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi. As you all can see, I have with me Mr. Tilak Devasher, who's an authority on one country which is a pain to everybody called Pakistan. Namaskar, sir. Welcome to the show.
Namaskar. Namaskar, Aadi. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic, sir. Thank you, for your time, and grateful that you've, uh, you know, given me the opportunity to nag you about this particular subject. I wanted to open up, sir, by this whole rumor which is floating around of Asim Munir getting a US citizenship. Now, I found it to be a little wild. Uh, Wife getting one, fair enough. But, looking at the situation, जिस तरह से अभी सब कुछ चल रहा है, Trump and secret deals and this and that, what do you think, sir?
You see, uska wife and children, I can understand. I'm not sure whether he will get it. They would have told him it's approved. He would have said, keep it approved. Let me finish my next 5 or 7 or 10 years here. And then I will pick it up. You see, he can't be a dual national as army chief. You can be dual national in many other cases. A lot of these politicians are, a lot of these business people are. But army chief being a dual national, I think he'll be cutting his own feet. But yes, even it's bad enough his wife and children getting the US citizenship, divided loyalties. Because when you become a citizen, you have to take an oath of allegiance to not only uphold the constitution, but to bear arms, should you be called upon to do so. That is the oath, so to bear arms. So can you imagine the army chief's wife is taking an oath to bear arms for the United States? So, अच्छा वो भी अगर मान लो, but can the army chief swear allegiance to pick up arms for another country? और ये अगर पता चल गया पीटीआई वालों को, and I'm sure they'll dig it up. I'm sure they'll dig it up if it is so. They'll be hell to pay.
That is true, sir. Man, but it's a shared pattern that all these army chiefs have kind of had in history, which is evident. One
Post
guy,
retirement.
yeah, post retirement.
पोस्ट रिटायरमेंट तो मुझे नहीं लगता इसको अभी ये पिकअप मिल भी जाएगा, क्लियर भी हो जाएगा, बट ही विल नॉट पिक इट अप राइट नाउ.
बाद में.
He wants to be army chief, he wants to be president till 2035. उसके बाद then he will go with, after he's made his billions, then he'll go and settle somewhere.
Let's come down to that, sir. Everybody says Pakistan mein now Asim Munir ne apna, he's kind of got the hold. Everything is solid. Usko koi hila nahi sakta hai. If that is the case, sir, why doesn't he dispose in quotes, whatever way possible, of Imran Khan, Faiz Hamid, and all these people?
You see, I think first of all, he doesn't need to. Imran Khan is a thorn, but he is bottled up in jail. 2 साल से वहीं पे है, and the party is, I wouldn't say disarray or broken, but the party is not effective. There are people like Ali Amin Gandapur and all who are basically the Trojan horses of the army. So जो army उनको कहती है, they do it. So he doesn't need to dispose of Imran Khan. And also remember, so long as Imran Khan is there, the Sharifs will continue to do what he wants. Because the Sharifs also know that without the protection of Asim Munir, and if Imran Khan is released, they'll be finished politically. Because in Punjab, he has demolished them. The Muslim League, whatever strength it had, the popularity it had over decades, built up through this Thana Kacheri kind of politics, which the Sharifs mastered in, has been demolished by Imran Khan. So who can protect them from Imran Khan coming out? It's the army and especially Asim Munir. So he's got this sword dangling over them. So Imran Khan suits his purpose, because if Imran Khan comes out, then Asim Munir has to go. It's as simple as that. Will he harm him in jail? I don't think so. He will risk that. You see, the US will come down on him like a ton of bricks. Abhi, there is this Pakistan Democracy Act. We can talk about that in a little later. And this senator talking about a Senate hearing. If something were to happen to him, it will be hell to pay for Pakistan. You see the IMF funding, the loans, and even all these rare earths and everything will not be able to hold up if that particular event were to happen. Therefore, I think it's not worth his while. He's getting what he wants without them, with him being alive. And Faiz Hamid is also bottled up. So he's getting whatever he wants.
In the long term, this is just probably a tactical view of things. In the long term, what would he ideally want?
Long term, he will want come November or before November, he gets a fresh 5-year appointment. Not 2-year extension, but a fresh 5-year appointment. Is it because this is where the Army Act, amendment to the Army Act was vague? I think it was deliberately kept vague. The term of the Army Chief is 5 years, but this chap completes 3. So one view is that he should get another 2 years only to make it 5 years. The other view is no, it has to be a fresh appointment. So fresh notification has to be issued giving him 5 years. And after 5 years, 2030, he can get another 5-year term because that age limit is no longer there. So he can be there up to 2035. In fact, this thing a lot of people missed. When he went to US in June and had lunch with President Trump, thereafter he addressed the diaspora. He made 2 very significant statements there. He said to fix the Pakistan economy will take up to 2035, and I think I will be there till 2035. I will be there till then. This is reported. It was reported in the Dawn. Second, he praised the presidential system of the US. He said that's a good system to have. So he was hinting, I think he went overboard. So he made it very clear which way his mind is functioning, that he is here till 2035 and it could be a presidential form of government. So he is looking for this long term. And after 2035, he could even be president.
Pakistan का दूसरा नाम क्या? Asim Munir.
Yeah.
That should be the Nara now, actually. That is very interesting.
And the most unlikely army chief. He's after all, from the OTS, not from Kakul. And he is Field Marshal. As president, he'll also be the Supreme Commander, and he will continue to be the army chief. So this amendment that they're talking about, 27th Amendment, this is basically to allow the serving chief to also be president. Musharraf ke time mein, there was a lot of chaos and a lot of pressure on Musharraf to give up his uniform.
Yeah.
That how can a serving army chief also be president? So ultimately, he had to give up his uniform. He wants to make that amendment that a serving army chief can also be president. That office of prophet. Basically, to be president, you can't hold an office of prophet.
Now, interestingly, an army chief that has been put across, भैया ये तो साफ सुथरा है, corruption नहीं करता, ये वो this that, which is hard to believe. पाकिस्तानी आर्मी के 2 ही appointments हैं जिसके अंदर सबसे ज्यादा पैसे बनते हैं. One is the QMG and second is Corps Commander Quetta. ठीक है, this guy was a QMG. So when I see that report, $7.9 million worth of a house, I was like, not bad. Not bad at all.
Yeah.
I mean, what can one expect a little more? So he wants to probably build up another 7.9 million during the time he's...
That will be in Toronto or Paris or Washington or some other place. एक घर पाकिस्तान में, एक घर बाहर.
But sir, यहाँ पर एक बड़ी interesting twist हुआ है. China is kind of backed off. And this guy went to China, Xi Jinping se mila, this, that, everything happened. China has been backing off, and I did some calculations. The outflow from China in 2023, 2024, 2025 year period has dropped by about 23%. Right? And the overall commitment from China has dropped by about 50%.
And also nothing fresh has come in. For the last 4 or 5 years, I've been hearing about ML1 right since 2015. That was the flagship of CPEC, ML1. And they kept talking about they couldn't agree to the funding, the financial aspects could be done, who will pay the money. Chinese said we can't put in so much and all. And now Chinese have pulled out totally. From that, and now they're looking around for ADB only to build a section of the railway. One other,
So,
just aside, we'll come back to this.
sir,
Chinese have also been thrown out of a mine or some project they were making in Afghanistan. The Afghans have thrown them out. This has
right.
this has been covered by NPR. I said, ये कैसे हो सकता है यार? The Afghans, where have they got the strength? Where at one time they were talking about extending CPEC to Afghanistan and that they Sainik mine and all that. And suddenly one of the major projects, the Chinese company has been told to pack up and go home.
Hmm.
So similarly with CPEC over here, this ML1 project, this is a major setback, I think, to China and so despite they saying CPEC phase 2 and Shehbaz Sharif has signed a whole lot of MOUs on this visit to China, but in reality on the ground, kuch nahi. There is no investment, whatever investment has come, I think Chinese are seeking to recover their losses.
Is CPEC 2.0 a cover up?
Yeah, absolutely. Every time when things are not going well, the stronger voices, they will say all weather, iron brothers, honey, sweeter than honey, that kind of thing. Otherwise, CPEC 1 to tum baat karo na. You're talking about CPEC 2. And what is CPEC 2? The same SEZs. The SEZs with CPEC 1.0. Not one SEZ is taken off. And now you're talking about CPEC 2.0. And
So
2.0 is what? They're talking about agriculture. Where is the water? Where is the water that you want to go? And Army wants its own green agriculture. The Cholistan, which they were going to give to China,
they're doing
same
already.
thing Army says, कि तो हमारा है.
वो तो कर रहे हैं already. They've put these spots all over the Cholistan desert where they're trying to transfer water from one part to the other, and they're making those crop circles around the place. So I keep doing this sat imagery. I keep seeing these crop circles all around the place. It's really funny. It looks like Pakistan has been invaded by aliens or something like that. Sir, but I was reading American commentary about this ML1. What they said is about Balochistan's Reko Diq. And I said, okay, fine, that's obviously off the way and stuff like that. But then the main project of the Americans right at the beginning, during the time when they were trying to do this, and the Pakistanis had suggested a railway line between Quetta and Rohri to Karachi. That central railway line, which was supposed to go to Gwadar, goes to the Chinese, so that doesn't make sense. So it has to come, just south of Rahim Yar Khan in that junction area. It comes down to Karachi after that.
Yeah.
So is this phase 1 basically testing the waters? चलिए इसको करा लेते हैं, उसके बाद इस तरफ से करेंगे. What is the game with this? Because the Americans sure are interested in the Reko Diq. Barrick is running around finding $3 billion worth of funding right now. Saudi proposed to buy 10%. They are kind of, I don't know if on or off
I think
right now.
I had heard the Saudis had backed off. I
Yeah,
don't know whether they are back again. You see, the
on and
difference
off.
between the Chinese and Americans is whether Chinese would have done the work themselves by employing their own workmen and building the power projects they've done the same way. The Americans will not put boots on the ground. You see, the ADB funding, which the ADB is putting it to both in ML1, Rohri to Karachi, and also into Reko Diq, they will farm it out to contractors, Pakistani contractors or some other foreign company. Americans will never put boots on the ground because they know how dicey it is. So whatever is the American interest, they will work it through contractors, non-American preferably contractors. But yes, you see, I have one problem with Reko Diq, which is the mine was discovered in 1993. Right, 32 years later, there has been no commercial exploitation. Now people are talking about 6 million tons of ore. Arbe kisne dekha hai? What has come out so far? Then they talk about rare earth elements also there. I don't know. Whatever prospecting has been done, after all, Bharat Gold is in the business of mining, they should know. So if you know, you will start taking out at least the preliminary stuff, the easy early harvest kind of ore. Nothing so far. So I'm not saying it is not there, but it is a bit of a mystery that 32 years on, you're still trying to work out the funding. Of course, in between, there was this huge case where Bharat Gold won the case and they were Pakistan was supposed to pay $11 billion.
This
Then they
double
did a
sold.
deal. Yeah, they did a deal and they sort of worked it out. So,
Sorry, they double sold this mine. Can you imagine? This is Pakistan. They sell the mine to someone and then go sell it to someone else.
yeah.
Oh God.
No, look, this is 11 billion. Then what about this IPI pipeline? Iran-Pakistan pipeline.
18
Iran is
billion.
threatening again to go to court and something like $5-6 billion they will have to pay in fine. They're paying almost 1 million fine
18,
a
sir.
month.
18
Huh?
billion is the total fine.
18 billion, right? Can you imagine? Of course,
This
the
is
army will be able to raise that money without any age, but the army is not going to pay. You know, there's the state of Pakistan. So
so
it's I don't know how they are managing their finances.
you've raised a very interesting doubt, and I'm going to kind of dig on that a little bit, if you don't mind, sir. You raised a doubt on Reko Diq. Now, here is a mine which has 25% ownership of the government of Balochistan, 4 or 5 firms within Pakistan, which form a conglomerate to take in 25% there, and 50% ownership by the barrack. Are you trying to tell me since 1993, barrack has been stuck here?
I don't know whether Barak was the original, but the mine was discovered in 1993. I don't know which year Barak came in. I can't be
Let's
sure,
say
but that
10,
is what.
15 years. Let's say 10, 15, 20 years, sir. I mean,
Yeah,
just for
yeah.
this thing. Wow.
So there's who's funding Barak? Can any if it doesn't look like a commercial contract. Commercial contract, you prospect, you invest money, and you may see whether something is there or not, and you're out. Like in the case of the oil, 2019 when they announced huge oil discovery, we are sitting on another Kuwait kind of a thing, and next week ExxonMobil pulled out. They said there's nothing here.
Nothing here.
For if it's a commercial interest. So is there something more than a commercial interest here? And who's funding Barak Gold? I mean, don't the shareholders make a noise? It's worth digging into this and seeing
I'll
what
do that.
exactly is happening there. And
I'll
why
do
are the
that.
Saudis? Why have the Saudis pulled out?
I'll do that. I'll make a note of it and actually do that. This is a really interesting question that you asked. I mean, what has been the output from the barrack mine in Reko Diq? And because they made a runway, I can see satellite images of that runway. It's beautiful, fantastic, but I don't think it's ever been used. I don't see any tire marks there. I don't see anything, you know, because that's the biggest telltale sign, right? In the approach patterns, you have tire marks.
Yeah,
Every time this thing hits us, some gisai
rubber.
happens. So there are tire
Yeah,
marks that you can see on the runway. You can see startup places where the aircraft is starting up. The bloody jet engine really marks the place. I don't see any of that. So that's a very valid question, and I will do some digging on this. So let's come back to the American relationship with this thing. There is a whole crypto deal which I've discussed with, and guys can watch that. So there is a way that Pakistan is enabling Donald Trump to earn some money. Fantastic. Uh, ये जो this whole game, sir, ये कभी ना कभी तो बाहर निकलेगा. Because the minute Pakistanis start getting their remittances in whatever crypto or whatever they want, as per this agreement, people are going to scream and shout, "What the hell?"
yeah. No, you see, can you imagine somebody whose family is in a village
Hmm.
and he gets, right now what happens? You send, let's say, £100, the equivalent amount is given to them in rupees, to the family. Now, if that mode changes, and I don't know how they will get it, and what will they do there with that? Can they go to the market and pay their rent or get food or whatever like this? So I don't know how the dynamics of this are going to work. And why would everybody agree? The 4 or 5 million diaspora what they have, will they all agree and they're all over the world? And many of them are also PTI chaps, so they will be leak. They will say, "Yaar, ye to hame to force kiya ja raha hai to do this," and then the people will ask questions. Then the American media will get after this.
Hmm.
You can't keep such a massive thing under wraps for long. And if you
Has
think that you're being smart, ultimately it's going to hit the ceiling.
has Asim Munir found the formula for survival in Pakistan, sir?
He certainly found it with the Americans. With Pakistan is danda, danda for the people. But the problem for Asim Munir is going to be that if he gets a 5 year reappointment in November, see, 2 years is bad enough. I don't know how many lieutenant generals retire. If he gets a fresh 5 year appointment in 25, carrying up to 230, people who today are 2 stars are all going to retire them all off. Now, not everybody becomes a chief, but at least people have a hope that they will be in contention to be chief. So anytime, and that's why extensions are always bad news for the morale of the army. Because then people feel that what am I working for? So my retirement, no, I can make some money elsewhere. I've got my land, I can do business, I can do something. And then if after 220, 30, he is looking for another 5 years extension, can you imagine people who are colonels today would have retired by then? So it's the danda he can exercise with the people. He has got the clout, they have the army has the guns. But what about the morale within the army? Within the army, will this not lead to a lot of dissatisfaction? And also, today in the Corps Commanders Conference, you have people who are his seniority or maybe a batch junior. 5 years down the road, 3 years down the road, everybody is going to be so much more junior to him, and he's not going to be getting any contrary advice. People will be too scared. So, for the morale, for the operational efficiency of the army, how does he manage that? Or is he even thinking about it? Let me put it this way. Does he care? He thinks, my dande say, they never, I'm God's gift to Pakistan. I'm God's gift to the army. I'm Hafizul Quran. Banyani Masoos or whatever. I can come up with names like this.
Even
and I can continue to. I can continue to rule. So it's also it's a very tricky situation.
Sir, I read somewhere this. Just let me, if you don't mind, just let me taking a reference here. So when I was doing my research about the reaction, and that's where I pick up. They also don't understand what is Banyale Mahsoos or whatever that thing is. They were making jokes about it. ये है क्या भाई? ये कहाँ से निकाला इसने? तो somebody said, कुरान से निकला है. अच्छा, फिर then they said, नहीं, ठीक है, बढ़िया है. The kind of stuff which is happening in Pakistan right now, you see the floods, right? We also have floods, but geographically speaking, जो भी पंजाब में है, guys in Lahore, Gujranwala, wait up, it's coming to you, towards you. वहाँ भी आ रहा है वो. It's gonna flow there, and these guys have no preparation. Now on top of it, we see this aircraft which has landed in Noor Khan, right? And you and I both sat down and we noticed a 3-star general with the co-commander of Pindi, as you pointed out, sir. Now, what in the world is 2 3-star generals doing with आटे की बोरियां at best?
It should be basically the NDMA or the PDMA, the National Disaster Management Authority or the provincial, if it was flood relief. So clearly, this is not what is meant to be or what is shown ostensibly. That this is something much more, and you don't need a C-17 for this. So, there's much more to it that has happened. And what they are bringing, obviously, whatever wish list Pakistan had, after the damage that they suffered for Operation Sindhu, they must have begged the Americans, ki yaar, hamara wo to karo. The other thing also which I heard is that some of the damaged F-16s, they could be taking back. Because there's no point taking back an empty C-17. So some of the damaged F-16s, if they can fit into that, or also to repair those F-16s. Because even the US can't admit that so many F-16s were hit.
So I have 2 options here, sir. One is Operation Sindhu, which is where I am kind of banking on right now, because I don't think Pakistani army is in need of small arms in terms of sniper rifles and AK-47s, and they've got enough weapons. Small arms तो बहुत है इनके पास, and they produce their छोटा मोटा ammunition जो बनाते हैं. They don't need that. Basically, they're self-sufficient within that छोटा सा ecosystem to fight the Baloch and the TTP. Is this operation the beginning of American involvement in the tribal regions again, sir?
That's a very interesting question. It could be not only for the tribal regions. Are they beginning of the process of rearming Pakistan? You see, of the talks that have been held, so is it a question of rearming Pakistan, obviously against India, and on the tribal, because the both the Baloch and the TTP have now access to American weaponry, very sophisticated American weaponry. So Pakis would have said, yeah, this is the weaponry you left behind in Afghanistan. At least give us matching stuff. You know, the kind of sniper rifles, the thermal imaging and all. At least give us same kind of stuff. So it is possible, you know. But I am more interested, apart from the fighting in Balochistan and TTP, is are they now starting the process of rearming Pakistan? You know, and of course this is clandestine rearming because nothing has come through Congress. There is nothing in the budget to show that they are giving 400 million worth of arms and ammunition or 500 million. So this is obviously clandestine weaponry if it is for rearming Pakistan. But if it is only for against the Baloch and the Pashtuns, then it will be just small arms. I suspect it could be both. You know, it could be both. That is
Yeah.
something that I have to be watch out for.
And by the way, this is not the only flight, sir. I've been tracking these flights. There are about 6 of them before this. There is one yesterday, there's one today, and then there's another one which has come from Jordan,
So these C-17s, what was the point of origin?
Qatar.
Okay.
Now, Qatar is the biggest American base in the world. I mean, the American base, the USA doesn't have a bigger base than Qatar does. Qatar is the biggest one, and they have everything there. So it's what you're saying makes a lot of sense that there is some transfer of stuff which is coming in, and the F-16 angle makes a lot of sense with the Jordan angle coming in, sir.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, because these were Jordanian F-16s at the end of it. तो कुछ spares वेयर्स ये वो जो कुछ पड़े हों मिल गए होंगे. So when you look at the situation of the flood right now, and if you remember last time when the flood came in, Asim Munir was on the hook at that time, right? 2019, 2020. No, the army
22.
was in the
22.
22. Yeah, it was Asim Munir only, I think. He was on the hook. People were disenchanted. People are, you know, it was pretty bad. And right now, also, the thing that we see is that the anger is there, but it's being directed to Mariam Nawaz and all that stuff. At least from KP, there is no voices coming out at all. The only
You
photographs
know,
I see,
there's a fundamental difference between the two floods.
please.
In 2022, it was massive rainfall, about 500%, but largely with Sindh and Balochistan. The flood took place there. This time, the floods are in Punjab because the Chenab, the Ravi, and the Satluj, massive flooding, and these are the major rivers of Punjab.
Mhm.
And massive rainfall in the catchment areas and the melting of the glaciers. So Punjab is affected this time. See, last time Punjab was not so affected. It was Balochistan and Upper Sindh. But this time it is the heartland of Punjab. So, you know, whether it is starting from, whether it is Kasur, whether it is Gujranwala, Sialkot, you know, and then further down. And now this entire flood, all the five rivers, the Indus will meet them. You know, they have a place called Panjnath.
Panjnath.
Panjnath goes about 40 kilometers, and at Mithankot, the Indus joins them. And about then 200 cusecs or so will then flow into Sindh. So you can imagine all the barrages and dams which are there in Sindh will not be able to let this water because it's too big a quantity. So the devastation which is going to happen now in Sindh after Punjab in the next maybe starting from tonight or the next 2-3 days, and rains are continuing.
Mhm.
So therefore, this is going to be a much bigger disaster. Maybe not in numbers, but certainly in terms of damage to the agriculture. See, and what they do in Punjab, that if there's a threat to Lahore or to Sialkot or to um, Gujranwala, they cut the embankments. So the water flows into the rural areas. And all the standing crop and houses in the rural areas get destroyed so that the cities are safe. Now that's okay. I mean, because concentration of population, but there are people there also. Like farmland is there. So if the agriculture, like cotton, standing crops, whichever are there, are going to get damaged. Now next year, you'll probably have a very good crop because this is Pakistan is on a floodplain. So every time in the past, whenever there were floods, the river banks would overflow, bringing rich alluvial soil. So next year would be a good harvest. So next year, but this year, they're going to have a major agricultural crisis as soon as the flood waters recede. Then there is danger of waterborne diseases. So it's a still unfolding situation. I think in a week's time, once the flood waters reach Sindh and flow down towards the sea, you will come to know the real, the damage assessment could be done. But that's the fundamental difference between 2022 and this year. That was more.
Are the Americans looking for tattoos in Pakistan, sir?
For
why? And I'm being very serious here. It's not a joke of a question. There are two countries which have been targeted for so-called peacekeeping troops of Ukraine. One is Saudi Arabia, which is again Pakistan, right? The troops are going to be wearing Saudi uniform but be Pakistanis at the end of it. And the second is Bangladesh.
If they both want to get hit by Russia, I mean, President Putin has made it very clear that this is a war situation, and if any foreign troops are there in a war situation, they are legitimate targets. So they are going to get hit.
Hence
Bangladesh, I can understand. They will do it for money. They are the most productive UN peacekeepers because they do it for money. And in Bangladesh, whatever money the UN gives, 50% goes to government and only 50% goes to soldiers. Did you know that?
Wow.
Yeah. 50% the government keeps. Now, in the case of Pakistan, I don't know what the system in Pakistan is, but they will be sitting ducks. And whatever restraint President Putin is showing towards the Ukrainians, he's not going to show restraint towards any outside force, NATO or non-NATO. So they'll be dead sitting ducks.
And that's where I feel that Pakistanis, either Saudi bol rahe hain, but it'll be basically again Pakistanis who will go there. This is what I mean. The name Hira Mandi that we had put up was not because that we wanted to degrade. Yeah, we wanted to degrade. Let me roll back my words. But there's a reality to it, na sir?
Yeah. They are willing to be bought by anybody who wants to buy them. Their problem has been that nobody is buying them.
Actually, I think we should clear out some 30-40 billion and say, come here. Here, take. Get out from here. All of you leave. Voluntary ethnic mobility. We can probably afford it as well. So that's really interesting.
I don't know whether the Americans will push this, to have either Pakistanis or Bangladeshis. Bangladeshis would also be equally willing. For them, it's an opportunity to earn more money.
And get into the decent books of Trump. Keep staying in the decent books of Trump for survival.
Yeah. Because unless there's a UN mandate, and for a UN mandate, Russia will veto any such move. But if there's the UN, the differences in Africa and all, wherever Bangladeshi and Pakistani peacekeepers are, you're wearing a blue,
helmet,
a blue beret, and that is respected. Nobody takes spot shots at a blue beret. In the case of Ukraine, it's not going to be a UN mandate. They'll be treated as mercenaries.
That's crazy. What do you think? See, now the legitimacy is, we were discussing in the middle of the show that Asim Munir has been able to gain some. He's sat with the US, he sat here, there, and he's probably learning the diplomacy by running around in these SEO and go visit this and go visit that. You can make out he's like an eager child, trying to figure out होता क्या है यार यहाँ पर. अच्छा साइड में बैठना पड़ता है, अच्छा ठीक है. That's what the feeling I got when I saw Shehbaz Sharif sitting with uh, somebody recently. Right now, he was, the president of Azerbaijan. So
Yeah.
there was Shehbaz Sharif sitting there, then the foreign minister and deputy prime minister, and then the army chief. And you could make out he was, his body language was very curious. He wanted to kind of read the room, what is happening here, there, and everywhere. And Azerbaijan is not such a serious relationship for Pakistan. Good friends, nothing more than that. So where do you think this guy is? When do you think this guy is going to make the change? Is it this November when that game actually gets decided? Which direction is he going? Is he going with the uniform for the next 2, 3, 5 years, or taking off the uniform and becoming the hashtag dictator of Pakistan?
He won't become, I don't see him doing that unless he's really pushed. You see, Nawaz Sharif is known to be averse to extensions. Now, if Nawaz Sharif puts his foot down and says, कि मैं नहीं दूंगा, कर लो जो करना है. This is what he told Bajwa, that I'm not going to give you another extension. Now, or if he says, I can give you only 2 years and not 5 years, what does Asim Munir do then? That's $1 million question. Will he just say, ठीक है, I'll roll up your, all three Sharifs will go behind bars and I will take over. But, his taking over will make it very difficult for Pakistan because American legislation will kick in. Any place where democracy is uprooted, all aid stops. IMF will also stop aid. What does Pakistan do then? So he will try his best not to. Nawaz Sharif is also aware of this, so he'll try and push it. But Nawaz Sharif also knows, as I mentioned earlier, that without Asim Munir, they can't face Imran Khan. So it's going to be really a game of poker, but who blinks first? But Asim Munir, after this 5 year or somewhere down the road, he's going to make a shot for the president. And Asif Zari is a very, very sharp politician, one of the sharpest in Pakistan. He's no pushover. He can't just ease him out unless he promises Bilawal Bhutto something major, deputy prime ministership or something like that, in which Asif Zari feels satisfied, okay, his son is well set. So there's that's why this meeting that took place in Murray, this so-called secret meeting in Murray, where the three Sharifs met with Asim Munir and Asim Malik, the DG ISI. A lot of this was discussed. The details are coming out slowly. We'll have to just wait and watch how it unfolds. But I think the question is not whether Asim Munir gets an extension or not. The question is whether he gets a 2 years extension or a 5-year appointment. What does Nawaz Sharif ultimately agree to? And the question apparently Nawaz Sharif is also asking, कि मैं उसको कर दूंगा, what is in it for me? I was diddled out of the prime ministership and Shehbaz Sharif became prime minister. What do I get out of all this? He wants to be prime minister. And Asim Munir won't make him prime minister because Nawaz Sharif's reputation is so bad. He's appointed 4 army chiefs and rubbed them all 4 the wrong way. The first one was Abdul Wahid Kakar, who got rid of both him and the president. Second was Musharraf, who staged a coup and threw him out. The third was Raheel Sharif, who became more popular than the civilian Sharif because of Darbe Azam and all that. And Bajwa, who again maneuvered to get him out. So Asim Munir won't take a chance with Nawaz Sharif being prime minister. He's like, I think your daughter is there. She's being chief minister. You groom her. And at some stage, she can succeed Shehbaz Sharif. Don't enter the fray yourself. And Nawaz Sharif, let's see, I see Nawaz Sharif's options are very limited now because of the continuing popularity of Imran Khan and the strong force he has become in Punjab. So the Nawaz League in Punjab is now almost wiped out. Whatever power and patronage that they had, they no longer have it. In fact, one of the things that Nawaz Sharif has been telling Shahbaz Sharif and his daughter, that once upon a time people would fight to get the PMLN ticket. Today, nobody wants the PML ticket.
Hmm.
That is how much it has cheapened, and that's how it has got no influence left in Punjab. And if you don't have a hold in Punjab, then you might as well pack your bags and go home.
Yeah.
So Nawaz Sharif is not in too much of an option to play around. He can bargain, but within limits.
Doesn't have
So the
much
next
option.
3 months are these going to be very, very interesting and very critical. You know, and there'll be lots of rumors flying around, kite flying, people saying this, and you can never be sure what's happening. But as they say in Pakistan, never a dull moment.
Yeah,
Something
yeah.
or the other will be happening.
I think when this podcast comes out, this is gonna ring a bell saying, yeah, okay, the time has begun now. 3 months is
Yeah,
gonna be really
your time
interesting.
starts now.
Now, my last question to you is about India, sir. They've been cribbing, crying about Indus water, and I think with the amount of water that they have, they stop cribbing about that and right now. But what do you think their plan with India is now? Because he had to get some legitimacy by doing an attack and going through whatever he went through. He's done that. What's next? Does he also have that U-turn like the have? I can't fight with India like with Bajwa. It happened, and suddenly the game changes with him. But that won't be acceptable today
So,
in Pakistan.
so this man can't do it. You see, by upbringing, by his training, by his sensibility. You know, which army chief has ever said about the two nation theory and talked
Yeah.
about Hindus and Muslims can't stay together? So he is in his DNA, that hatred towards India.
Mm.
And he can't live down the fact that it was on his watch that Pakistan got a pasting. He may have become field marshal, given himself the rank, just to mask the defeat. But in his hearts of hearts, he knows that we gaye. So can you live with that?
Damn.
Now, he may not do something immediately because they also have to recoup their losses. They have to now get out of the floods. So it will take some time, but I'm pretty sure that somewhere down the road, this man is going to try and do something else. It may not be in Kashmir necessarily. You know, the threatening statement he made that we can attack you from, not attack, but that, we'll come in from the east. So with Bangladesh, and you also, I think, mentioned about the chicken's neck and this airfield at Lal Murid Hart and the ISI delegation that have gone to Rangpur to survey that area. So I suspect, and we would need to be very careful about what Pakistan tries to attempt from Bangladesh. Because as per the new doctrine, we have said any act of terror will be an act of war. So if the terrorists have come in from Bangladesh, then as far as they're concerned, let the Bengalis handle it. So I think he will certainly do something. He may not be directly from Pakistan, but from Bangladesh. If he wants to do it quickly, then it will be from Bangladesh. Otherwise, he will wait and bide his time till they've recouped their own losses in Pakistan.
Because for me, the main thing is the guy has to keep that legitimacy up until the time. I mean, you don't fight India, that legitimacy kind of gets lost, and that's why Bajwa, by the end of it, turned out to be the lame duck that people hated. Because there's that innate sense of hatred with India. Till the time that is not projected, it doesn't really make sense. So Bajwa, by the end of it, was a lallu, in no simple words, because he kind of did the ceasefire with India. He kind of, as they say, bent
Talked
the knee
about
to. Yeah,
talked about geoeconomics rather than geopolitics.
yeah, and they said basically the term is that one Niazi lost us Bangladesh, the second Niazi lost us Kashmir with Bajwa. तो वो भी पूरा एक narrative, if you remember, that is there, and
Yeah.
I guess this guy will be quite averse to it. Interesting, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I wanted to actually have this conversation about this creature called Asim Munir. And from his US visa to his antics at home, it's, I think, never a dull moment, as you said. This is apart, probably the first conversation that we have had. And I must congratulate both of us that we haven't taken up the regular beatings that the Pakistani army is getting with the Baloch and the KP. We
Yeah,
haven't spoken about that because it's become so freaking normal.
yeah.
So,
So there's nothing
okay.
new over there. It's par
Totally.
for the course. The only thing is statistics. आज का title total क्या था? That's all.
Yeah.
But unless something now really major happens, it's doesn't make news.
Yeah, it doesn't, and that's something which is, I didn't even get a question in my mind about it. So I was like, "ठीक है यार, साले रोज तो ठुकते हैं. It doesn't really matter about it. Let it be. It's all right. We'll talk about it sometime else." Thank you so much, sir. Always a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Aadi. Thank you for having me on your show. And I always look forward to our conversation.
Thank you. And to the audience, please like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and families. Give us your thoughts as to what Asim Munir's final destination would be. Put it in the comments and let's see where you guys actually put Asim Munir. And of course, if you can contribute to the channel, all the details are in the description. Namaskar.